So there is a new term to describe dating right now. It's called infla-dating. Financial experts say there's a lot of buzz around the word because there's a lot of buzz around how much it costs right now to date in this inflation age.
It's not about necessarily being cheap, but when we're seeing rising food costs, we're seeing rising drink costs and just dining out altogether, what are you going to do?
Ted Jenkins is CEO of Oxygen Financial. He says it's costing the average millennial and Gen-Zers about $3,000 a year just for dating and dining out.
22% of all millennials said, I'm going broke because of dating. And 85% of all millennials, they basically said, you know what, it's okay to go on a lower cost date.
Which is why infla-dating is becoming a bigger conversation.
I think on the surface, you would think that most people don't want to come off as a cheapskate. They don't want to be labeled that person. But in all of the studies right now, 1 out of 2 millennials said it's a good idea to go on some sort of budget-friendly date.
Ted says a lot of people are resorting to a cup of coffee via a video call for their first date just to see if there's any chemistry. He points out Northeast Ohio offers some good options.
If you think about being in Cleveland and the types of dates that you can have, obviously weather permitting because we're getting into winter season, but people going to farmers markets now, people taking a walk or a hike in the park. There are a lot of people that are swapping out dinner and they're going for breakfast and saying breakfast is cheaper.
And Ted laughed at me when I asked, are people willing to split the bill?
It would be one of the most awkward things in the world if you end up a date and saying, are we splitting this thing or am I paying for it? So I think you really want to have that conversation before the date about whether you're going to go Dutch or whether or not you're going to actually pay the bill. If it's a lower cost date, you probably should be picking up the tab if you're the one that's asking for the date.
I also asked him if there's some grace being given for lower cost dating, meaning are people who usually have high expectations willing to shift their thoughts about what a date should look like?
Those that live their lives on social media, probably not, because everybody's looking for an Instagram-worthy moment. But for most of society, Christi, yes, there is certainly a grace period now that people understand that you're not trying to be cheap. But the fact of the matter is that companies are laying off and times are difficult. If your budget is not in a position where you can afford $100 or $200 dinner and a fancy steak and a nice bottle of wine, you just simply don't do it, because to put yourself in credit card debt at 20% just to go on a date, that's a mistake. And by the way, if your date is going to judge you based upon the price tag of the date, you might want to ask yourself, is this a good idea systemically for my long-term relationship? If the only thing that matters is how much I spend on the date. Most relationships last for the long term, not really ever over the money, but it's over the connection that you have with somebody.
He makes another really interesting point about intentions and end game here. He says once you set expectations for how much you're going to spend on a date, people may assume those same set of expectations are going to be standard. So Ted says it's a tough bar to live on social, media expectations, and it's a tough bar to live personally in your finances.
You got the deluxe burger. You need to pay more for that. And I don't think that's going to...
pickle cost
Yeah, exactly.
50 cents
I have many thoughts on this, but we have to move on. So next time.
Guys,
good story.
Don't try it. Pay for the meal.
You heard it here first.
It is some advice you can take or whatnot. Anyway.